Hello. Today I want to talk about the backgrounds to these characters in Angel Beats. If you're familiar with Angel Beats, the anime, you know what the whole plot is about. But the anime felt like it ended too fast and we didn't get to hear most of the character backgrounds. But fear not. They produce alternative medias that gives us more character information from the different character backgrounds that weren't covered in the main anime. In this video, I will be covering the information we get for these characters. In my previous video, I talked about the character information we got from the prequel manga, Heaven's Door. It was about these characters, so if you're interested in that, give it a shot. One of the media sources that I will be using in today's video is called Angel Beats The Last Operation, which is the retelling of the anime storyline to make it seem like a more complete story than what the anime gave us. What do I mean by that? Well, did you find it weird that after Iwasawa moved on, the show kind of went like Iwasawa fulfilled her dream, now Yui's gonna be the new singer. Anyways, let's play baseball. Well, in the last Operation manga, it actually takes its time to show us the aftermath of Iwasawa's disappearance. It shows Miyuki and Shiori crying in the band room, and Otonashi comforting Hisako, since she was the one that was hit the hardest. She just lost her best friend, leaving her to ask the question, when will I be at peace? So with that being said, let's start off with Hisako's story. Her father played in a small band, so she was pretty much exposed to music early in her life. Then after being exposed to Led Zeppelin, she decides she wants to be in a band as well. With her parents' permission and encouragement, she moves to Tokyo to audition for bands, and eventually she gets into one called Dirty Blood. This would be where she starts to regret her decision and her life starts to become a living hell. You see, the band she joined became very successful thanks to the amazing vocals of the lead singer, Kirisaki. However, he harbors a huge flaw. He was born without the ability to feel pain. Because of this, his father abandons him for some reason. I don't know why. This pretty much causes his mother to go on to the next world, as she put it. Of course, something like this would mess up any child, so he turns to self-harm in order to make sure he's still alive. But the dude can't feel pain, so he doesn't know when he goes too far with it, and he might end up dying because of that. What does this have to do with Hisako? Well, the manager for Kirisaki asks her to check up on him, to which she does and happens upon him trying to find out if blood is really thicker than water. She soon finds out that the boy's manager ran away, leaving her to be in charge of him. She has no choice because if he dies, her career is over. So now Hisako has to bend over backwards just to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. Because of this, Kirisaki's fanbase ends up seeing them leaving his house together, coming to the conclusion that they're a couple. And, well, you can't have that in Japan, especially with idols. So, of course, the fanbase ends up bullying Hisako. At first, it was just them throwing stuff at her, to which she could handle that much, but everyone has their own breaking point. And to Hisako, that was when they burned down her family house. And rightfully, she quit the band and headed home to her parents. And that should have been the end of it, right? Well, Hisako tries to live a normal life, but in the back of her mind, she's constantly worried about what happened to Kirisaki. Until one day, on TV, Kirisaki was shown giving an interview about his latest album release. Hooray, he's fine. Hisako felt relieved to know that he was doing well and he was still alive, making music and everything. But then, out of nowhere, Kirisaki pulls a gun and ends it all on live TV. This event causes Hisako to lose her mind and her will to live because she felt like it was her fault. She ran away, and if she was still with him, he would still be alive right now. That's what she kept telling herself. And so she slowly started to wither away and eventually die. So that was her past. Pretty tough, huh? I don't know why, but I feel like I need to say this, but it was not her fault. The dude was living with no hope and he was going to meet his end eventually. It was unavoidable. Luckily, our girl was able to bounce back with the help of Iwasawa's music. The anime doesn't really portray how close the girls really were, and when it came down to naming the band, Hisako came up with the name Beauty the Blood. This is the exact opposite of her previous band name, Dirty Blood. If Dirty Blood had a singer who wanted to die, then Beauty the Blood had a singer who wanted to live. I wish the anime showed us more of the impact Iwasawa's disappearance really had. It was kind of lame how they just brushed it off and went straight into the baseball tournament. But oh well, they're running out of time or something. Speaking of baseball, let's talk about Hinata. We get more information on his past through the visual novel game Angel Beats First Beat. I don't know what exactly is canon in the game and what's not, because the visual novel includes like character routes and stuff. You know how visual novels usually are. But I figured the backgrounds are at least worth noting. And disclaimer, I did not play the visual novel, so I'm getting this information from the wiki. So let's get into the information we were given about Hinata. Hinata doesn't really remember what happened to his parents, but he is taken in by his uncle and his family. However, they don't treat him like family. He's more or less of a afterthought to them, so they tend to leave him home while they go on vacations and stuff. Because of this environment, he ends up focusing on baseball, which gives him hope in trying to escape this life. And he ends up getting a scholarship to a boarding school just to play baseball, causing the sport to be the only thing that this guy cares about. It's his only way to independence. One day, a disabled dog walks onto the baseball field and his teammates end up focusing way too much on this dog and not on baseball. Hinata believed that this dog was affecting the team's motivation and performance, so he took the dog and moved it past the mountain and into the woods somewheres. And the team immediately noticed the dog was missing because it's a disabled dog, couldn't go far, And they noticed that Hinata is the only one that wasn't worried about the dog missing, so they confronted him about it. And after arguing that the dog was getting in the way of their practice, the manager of the baseball team ends up slapping him. This actually affected him a lot. If you read the manga Heaven's Door, you would know that at the thought of one of the NPCs almost looking identical to the manager, it causes him to freak out and abandon the mission. Okay, the first thing I want to say is yes, it's pretty messed up that he took the disabled dog and pretty much abandoned it somewheres. But remember, baseball is all he had. He had no family, no support. This guy was pretty much alone. And when the team wasn't taking baseball as serious as he did, he ended up doing something irrational to preserve his way of life. Then you add on to the fact that he missed the routine pop fly in the most important moment of his life. It's no wonder he turned to drugs to escape reality. Before I talk about the last character, Miyuki Iri, I want to share with you a small bit of information that we got on Yuripi. In the anime, she states that she didn't kill herself.
バカね、自殺なんかじゃないわよ。自殺した人間が抗うわけないじゃない。それにこの世界に自殺した人間はいないわ。さあ、行きましょう。あなたは私が守るわ。Okay, so how did she die? In the manga The Last Operation, she states that she died in a car accident while waiting for the bus with her friend. The paramedics got to the friend first and saved them, but by the time they got to Yuripi, it was already too late. Just thought I'll let you guys know that, just in case you were curious and didn't know and wanted to know more information about her. Now on to Miyuki. Miyuki's background is given to us by the mobile game Heaven Burns Red. The game was written by Jun Maeda, so the background is most likely true. Again, the game is only in Japanese, so I'm getting this information from the wiki. Miyuki is a shy girl who has trouble breathing if she's the center of attention. Because of this, her class ends up voting for her to be in roles that tend to stand out, like class president, just because they find it funny. Right off the bat, I have to say these guys are jerks. Like, what the heck? How the heck is that funny? Anyways,
In her second year of high school, she's voted to be the student body president for the same reason, because they found it funny. While being the student body president, students started to play with the Ouija board while at school, and they believed that they summoned a spirit named Satoko. So in order to prove that ghosts aren't real, the student council decides to record themselves playing the game. And also, before I forget, I should mention that Miyuki is shy. And guess what? She's also scared of ghosts. So, of course, she hates this. The student council consists of 5 people: Miyuki, her best friend Kana, and 3 others, and each participate in the game, which involves writing Satoko's name on a piece of paper to summon her, and a coin to use on the Ouija board to communicate. After proving it was a hoax, they threw the paper away and went home. Job well done. Later that day, Miyuki went home and found that paper in her belongings. Spooked by this, she decided it's best to burn it. Then one of the student council members disappeared, so they try to find out the truth about Satoko by asking the teachers, but they were quiet about it. So they decide to go to the house they believe that she used to live in, only to find that nothing was there. While at home, Miyuki receives a text from another member of the student council saying that even if someone taps you on the shoulder, do not turn around. The next day, that student disappears. At this point, Miyuki was so stressed with fear that she fainted when Kana suggested they disappeared because of someone else's will. After waking up in the nurse's office, it is announced over the intercom that Kana went missing. Terrified that she was going to be next, Miyuki leaves to go home because she believes that her parents would protect her. While waiting for the train, someone tapped on her shoulder, and instead of looking back, she freaks out and ends up running onto the train tracks, to which she is struck and killed. Turns out, it was just a prank that the student council was in on. They tried to reveal that it was a prank by having Kana tap on her shoulder, but they were unaware of how stressed out and scared Miyuki was. And can you imagine being Kana, where you think that you just pulled the biggest prank on your best friend, only for her to accidentally run onto the tracks? And it was your fault. Like, how do you live with that? The wiki goes on to talk about how the student council was distressed and grief-stricken about what happened, and it took a while for them to get over it and move on. But honestly, I'm mad at them, so I don't really care. When Miyuki is first found by the Battlefront members, she is seen crying in the corner, scared and confused on if she really just died. And I find that heartbreaking, honestly. Alright, that is it for today's video. I do recommend you checking out Angel Beats: The Last Operation, because they changed up the way that the story progresses, and I felt like it was a more polished story. But I've said this before, it only goes up to volume 4, so who knows if they're ever going to continue it. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.